And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the OSR uh, tabletop with myself, DM Bloodworth, and I'm joined by Shadow and Son, who also has his own YouTube channel. So you can find him under Shadow and Son on YouTube as well. Shadow is also one of my players in my Castles and Crusades campaign. He was a player for a little over a year in my AD&D First Edition campaign, and so
A
for
lot
the
of fun.
most part, we're going to be talking about we're going to be talking about like a recap of our last session, Tuesday night session with Castles and Crusades, set in Gary Gygax's Iggsburg setting. And then this is going to be fairly short. So this is only going to be about an hour and 15 minutes or so, because I have to get ready for the Philadelphia Game Expo, which is tomorrow so I'm planning on leaving here around 9 a.m. ish, and I still have a few things to wrap up beforehand. So I put the invite out, and there is a link in the both my Discord channel and up here on YouTube. So you're welcome to join in if you wish, and that goes out to all of my players as well. And in the meantime, I will check for any comments and bring those up. Some other things I was planning tomorrow morning on doing a full-length video talking about Ben Rigg's um, his most recent Facebook post. It was virtually an article, and that's how I described it in my short today. So I might talk a little bit about that as well, but I'm going to try to save that for a tomorrow morning video. Very early in the morning, I will be doing a video, and hopefully that should upload and be live by noonish, I guess. So anyhow, so Shadow, we're just going to start going over and talking about the campaign as it stands right now. So we're going to be talking about and doing a recap of session 3, which was on the day after New Year's. So it was Tuesday night, and the seven players were present. Well, actually, six of the players were present. We're waiting on the seventh to come in. And there
Kelly.
is our seventh, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. So you can watch. Great. You can jump in too, Kelly, if you're, if
Yeah,
it's
get your butt in
possible.
here if you're not doing anything.
You're welcome to jump in, obviously. And Terry, greetings. Good to see you. And so we're just going to be chatting a little bit about our last session. So in our last session, the player characters, they armed with their festive dress and their powdered wigs and their
Don we now our
customized,
gay apparel.
yeah, their customized either short swords or what are called feather staves, which are the only kind of weapons that you're really allowed to walk around in the streets of Iggsburg with, and their invitations. So they all have received a golden ticket to enter into the city itself, and they got to their accommodations. Their accommodations was at a tavern in the a tavern in the middle class section of the town. So that was very good for them as well, to get placed, in pretty decent accommodations. Although a little bit stiff, as far as price is concerned. There's probably some price gouging going on here. Like 5 gold pieces a night or so for, a couple standard or pretty standard meals, and it is at least a room for 4 that is fully furnished, so they're not sleeping on the ground at that cost. But 5 gold pieces a night is still pretty hefty sum.
I'll
But
say
but they are pretty wealthy from their first two sessions and their awards that they rewards I should say that they received for for taking care of some goblins and some nasty ruffians and some evil clerics that they had to deal with. And they picked up some decent treasure along the
Yeah,
way as
I,
well,
I
which is
actually, I just did a video on treasure, and
Mhm.
I know you didn't see it, but
Okay.
I can't recall a game where I actually, walked away with that kind of loot in a good long time. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it was too much. No, no, no,
yeah,
no. Uh,
yeah,
don't want you to go down that route, but no,
yeah,
it was perfect because it allows. I mean, everybody's going to blow through it by the next session or two.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like King's Ransom or anything, but it's almost like uh, the perfect amount to get us all you know really situated for the next couple of adventures I see
Yes.
on the horizon. And
Mm.
that way we feel comfortable, not the typical rat catcher kind of
Right.
mud
Um,
sword.
yeah, yeah, it kind of balanced out because the Igsberg setting really does start you with virtually nothing. It's not like you're rolling from the player's handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide starting gold. You're really limited in there. I mean, on average, you probably started out with about 50 gold pieces. Some were like 30 gold pieces and kind of scrimping and saving for what they were looking to do, and the just the luck of the random roll on the gems, on the gems table, and
Mhm.
that's where you got
Right, that big
most of your wealth.
10,000 gold piece. Was it a
No,
pendant
no,
or a
no,
brooch?
no. It was 100, 1,000 gold piece, not 10, a
Oh, okay.
thousand gold
I
piece. Yeah,
don't know why I thought
um,
10.
yeah. So, yeah, that was a pretty expensive piece of jewelry that you picked up there. So, happy New Year, long shot, and it's been a little while, so good to see you back and
Sorry about that.
active. So they gained entry into the town and or city. I'm just gonna start calling it a city because it's the largest walled in town in all of the region. It's a population of roughly 20,000 to 25,000, including some of its outskirts. um Hey, Uriah Grant, and for all of you that might have missed my last live stream, so Uriah Grant was a big contributor. He's a member of the channel, which is why you see that little S next to his name. And Uriah, I did reach out to you. I'm waiting for your email because I'm going to send you because you contributed so much. I'm going to send you that Star Wars, the first edition Star Wars WEG rulebook that I had an extra for. So that'll be sometime next week. Just get me through email. I sent you an email, or you can get me through Discord, and that way I can get your details privately, and then I'll be able to send that out to you sometime next week. Um, you're also welcome to join in the game as a contributing member to the channel. And I actually do have some slots open in our current campaign. um, we could really use a thief, and we could really use a backup magic user or cleric. If you're inclined to do that, we play Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so you're certainly welcome to join in. If not, I will make some kind of an arrangement for you to join a different game that I'm either running or someone else is running from my Discord channel. So, getting back to our recap. Um, so, the players ended up breaking up into several different groups. And here's one of my players, Alan. Hey, Alan, how's it going?
Well, I'm alive. Wife's
You're
doing good
alive,
too.
and yeah, and everything's fine at home without getting into detail. Everything's good.
Yep, she'll be out of the
Okay.
hospital in a couple days, and then I'll be back in on Tuesday for me.
Okay. Yeah. So best of luck with all of that. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you, very kind.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes well.
Anytime, brother.
So anyway, so Alan is one of my players. So used to Alan playing the paladin, but actually he's playing a I just lost track. A druid.
No,
A
I'm a bloody cleric.
You're a what? Oh,
A
you're the
cleric.
cleric. Oh, you're a cleric. I thought you were a druid. All right, I got confused. I see. I get conflated with with the different characters and everything. Um, so all right, so you're the cleric, and so we have Cal. Welcome, Cal. And here we go. So the party broke up into several different groups, and and it's an interesting thing. Like when they say don't split up the party and everything, but they managed it really well. The first group that I started to deal with was the monk, Bill the fighter, which is played by Shadow, and the other fighter who's played by Ragnar. Ragnar the fighter. So they decided that they wanted to go off and they were looking for some kind of physical activity. And in Ixburg, there's a gymnasium, and in that gymnasium, there was obviously various, features within the gymnasium that they can participate in. And there was, of course, a pugil pit that they chose to fight in. And while they were running through their rounds, so it started off with the monk was the first to face a challenger, and he fought through 3 rounds, and in 3 rounds he KO'd his opponent with a pretty good punch to the body. This was all subdual damage, so he used his monk's ability to actually stun the guy, and then it was if the guy did not make his Constitution check, he was automatically knocked out. So in that third round, Seven managed to knock out his opponent. Then Bill was next, and I'm assuming that Bill might have had to step away for a second. So when
No,
Bill,
I'm here. I
oh,
was
you're
just
here. All right. So Bill then was second up, and he was facing an opponent very equal to the one that the monk had just defeated. But this guy here managed to land a critical on Bill in the first round, and he punched him. Luckily, he only took 5 hit points of damage, but that was half your damage, I believe, at the
yep,
point. You have
yep,
your hit points at the point.
yep.
Again, once again, subdual damage. And then in the second round, now Bill landed a punch on the guy as well. But in the second round, the guy hit him again for another 4 points of damage, which brought him
Get
down to
one.
just 1 point. And those initiatives really became the make or
Crucial.
break. Yeah, crucial. And then in the third round, poor Bill the fighter took another 2 points of damage from a fairly weak punch. Actually, it was nowhere near probably the minimum that he could have done, and it knocked Bill out. So
For
the
the
other
rest
group,
of the evening.
yeah, for quite some time actually, he was knocked out and pretty much not going to recover his temporary hit point loss for about 5 hours. So he needed a good bed rest. Um, and then finally, the third combatant came in. That was Ragnar, our half orc fighter, and he took a punch in the first round. Just 2 hit points of damage. Took a punch in the third round, and then he knocked out his opponent with a critical punch um, which was to the jaw, I'm pretty sure. It was a critical punch to the head and basically incapacitated the guy's head. So really knocked him out completely. And so it was a, very epic way to take out his opponent. So once they had done that, simultaneously, what was going on was that the wizard and the bard were looking to get some details, and this, Kelly, is where your character was involved. They were looking to get some details on just the kind of like the state of the magic users within the area. Get some details on the scroll that they had discovered in the effects of one of the evil priests that they had defeated in session one, and they started to get some clues about the fact that there are various rival groups of wizards within and sorcerers within Igsburg and its surrounding areas, and they were actually hired or at least offered a reward for going out to this dark mansion, this manse, someplace in the northeast, and any kind of books or paper scrolls or whatnot that they do find, they will be rewarded at an amount of up to 25 gold pieces per person traveling on this. So they kind of went through that whole role play of talking and trying to influence and learning about some of the background area of the just the role that magic users play in Igsburg, and that was really, I think, quite valuable for them. The third group was the and I'm going to try to remember. It was Pounce the Ranger and and the Druid,
Cornelius?
right?
OG GM's character.
No, his is the Bard. He was with the magic user.
Oh, that's right.
He was
that's
with
right.
yeah. So it was three of them, I believe. It was the cleric, the the ranger, and the druid, and they were all sitting in an amphitheater watching a play, and they were watching a play that was a recreation of the the final battle where Igsburg had won its independence. And so there was a reenactment of that final battle, and they were about an hour or so in, and there was someone sitting in front of them that they recognized, two rows in front of them, and in the middle row coming down was this clown. So the guy was dressed up like a clown with all kinds of makeup and everything on him, and he was slinking down the aisle in between them. And just at the last moment, Pounce, the ranger, noticed that this guy was creeping up on the guy two rows ahead with a short sword drawn, ready to thrust it into him. And she uh, put a kick to the head on this guy. First he thought she was going to try to trip him and everything, but I was like, the distance and the different level of elevation you're at, you wouldn't be able to hit his leg. But she said, all right, I'm just going to try to kick him. And she rolled a natural 20, and she gave him a critical hit to the head, which broke his jaw, and knocked him out all in just one bang. It was over so fast that I was like, wow, that was really, pretty quick. And then they spoke to this guy who turns out to be, at least by what he said, a wizard, and he brought them, or had them bring him back to his back to their rooms, back to their tavern, where he can then start explaining some of what was going on. And that's where we kind of wrapped up the the session. Was they were just learning about the culture as it relates to magic users, and how there are these rivalries going on. So two of the three different groups have this kind of intersecting story and rumors that they're hearing about, and then we'll see where they go with next week. So it was actually, it was pretty fast. I think we ran for about 2.5 hours or so.
Something like that.
Yeah, maybe closer to 3 once we finished, chatting and everything. So, and that's usually the typical length that I run my games. I run my games anywhere from like 8:15 to about 10:45, close to 11 o'clock. That's typically how they run. So anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours long. Once in a while, we'll push a little bit longer. Depends on where the action is kind of going. Now, I had to innovate quite a bit here because I had planned for several other things going on, which didn't take place because, because we had, a player wasn't able to make it. And then another player left the group, and was kind of, and I had a whole thing set up for his character, because his character, as we discussed the last time, had his leg severed off, and so I had a whole story that was going to unfold, where he was going to get his leg restored, via magic at the local temple, but then be tasked to do a service for them in exchange for that. So they were going to heal him up and then say, now we need you to do this. And then whether he chose to do that or not was, that's those kinds of consequence things that come up when when you don't live up to what you're giving your word to do, or if you just say, no, I'm refusing to do this at all, and stick with, not having a left leg, and going with a prosthetic or something like that. Certainly had the goal to do that as well. But
Leg.
yeah,
All the way up to the hip.
yeah, I unfortunately he was not too happy, and happy with the fact that at my table I used the critical hits chart, and there's
if it's
nothing
integral to the game, that's a rule for the game. Not every game, can accept or play properly with an imported rule like that. But if it's built in, then that's what the game designers wanted.
Yeah, it is. It is a game rule. Yes, it is a game rule. It is.
And
Now,
to be honest, I don't know the guy very well, and if that's not his his bag, that's fine. But that's actually better for us as a group. One, when we were getting ready to make characters for this and everything, you kept letting us know that this isn't like a magic rich environment. It's not a high level magic game. And I was thinking to myself, well, if you in the first, at first level, were able to get a leg regrown or whatever, that kind of takes away from that, and it sort of sets the ball rolling toward a higher magic game. And this way, we lost somebody. It's grittier, it's more realistic, and we can't, start thinking, well, we could just go to the clerics and they'll resurrect Joe Bob, for some coins or a quest, which is a little too easy in my opinion. I think it sets the stage for a a more challenging game if we don't have that crutch or that backup to fall back on.
Right.
This way, we can keep playing the way we've been playing. If I to be honest, I totally expect almost every one of us to have to roll up a new character at some point, just because of the
Yeah.
odds and the way the crits work. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and that's the way it was in the old days.
Yeah.
You don't get attached to your character until they're fifth, sixth level. Otherwise, you're going to get your heart broke.
Yeah, it's again, it is one of the Castles and Crusades rules. Even though the critical hit chart is an optional rule, but you go to -6, you're losing a limb. I mean, that's in the regular rules, so that's something that even if I weren't doing the actual critical hit chart, you took additional damage that brought you to -6, you're losing a random limb anyway, and that's cooked right into the rules themselves. So I don't think it was as much of an issue with because with the fact that there was a critical hits system being used. I think that he was upset that it was like him, possibly, or he didn't think that I did enough, I guess, um, to hash out some of the way that it was going to go. And so because I did make some modifications, some homebrew
To be honest,
to the way it's going to work.
you were
Um,
more generous than I've ever been.
Mhm.
Had somebody one gone -7, the likelihood that the cleric would have been able to get there in time to keep him from -10 and just dying or bleeding out, I would have not been able to think of a single reason why to keep the character alive as a GM. It's like, sorry, those are the breaks. You took too
Yeah.
much damage. You're going to bleed out. There's nothing anybody can do. We were out of healing spells, except for I think the last one that might have, kept him at like -1 or 0-ish. But his leg's gone.
Mhm.
He's going to keep bleeding out. Depending exactly where that leg was ripped off. I mean, mind you, if it was at a certain point, you could tourniquet it and keep the blood from flowing out. But at that point, do you really want to? Isn't it just easier to make up a new character and
Yeah.
you really don't lose anything at that point?
Yeah, it's a balancing act, and like I said in one of my short videos, really following up that probably yesterday's video or possibly the day before, I did a short video where I said, how to respond to a player who leaves your table, and I was basically, saying that when you're starting off with a large group of players, which we did, we started off with 10 players. I fully expect just from prior experience now, that the first couple of weeks is going to be a weeding out process. People are going to come in, play for a couple sessions, and then decide, hey, this is not for me, and go. And I'm not gonna shed a tear over that. Not gonna sweat that. I expect it to happen, and when it does, I'm okay with that. We're gonna move forward and keep up. I said in that video too, don't change what you're doing until a vast number has left. Then you might start questioning, what am I doing wrong? But I'm happy being down to 7. 7 players, and if I have to bring in or 8 players, if I have to bring in 1 or 2 to fill that role, that we're kind of missing. We need a thief in the group, and we would be helpful to have another caster of some kind, whether it be a magic user or a cleric, or something else. to fill in some of those gaps, then we'll be, I think we'll be up and running and moving again. But we'll see. We'll play it out by ear, um, and see if anybody wants to jump in. So, like I said, earlier on, I said, Uriah, you're welcome to join in. You're a member of the channel, and that's one of the perks of it. So if you're available Tuesday nights, you are welcome to come in. You can play any character you want. I'm just saying that the characters are that the group could use. Anything but a fighter is fine, because we already have 2 fighters and a ranger, so I think we're pretty good with the fighting ability. So let me say a few hellos to everyone there. O'Neill, good to see you, and Judd, glad you made it. Good to see you as well. So overall, I think he went off to be a cobbler. Yes, yeah, he's gonna make one shoe, one shoe, just the right-footed shoe, for the rest of his time. Yep, only makes one shoe at a time. Yeah, only one though. He's just going to make the right foot shoe. So it was a good session for what it had shown, right? So we had learned a little bit about the culture of the town. I got to see how the players actually function when they are splitting up the party, and that was really impressive and really smooth. People were, perfectly happy with letting the other group have their time, and they were still focused, which really, struck me, because when I turned and I said, Oswald, you're up now, and he was ready to go, and he jumped right into it. So as I went from group to group to group, everybody seemed to be still paying attention to what was going on and not disconnecting from listening to what was taking place while the other players were, playing their characters, which I think is a really important thing for people to remember, is that just because it's not your turn, I don't want you thinking in the mindset of turns. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, it's not my turn, so I don't have to pay attention to what's going on.
It's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, it's really important to pay attention as you are, waiting for your character's action phase. Let's put it that way. It's not your character's turn. It's not as the player, it's not your turn. It's your character's action. And your character isn't just standing there like an automated thing that's going to jump into action as soon as their die roll comes up. They're supposed to be paying attention. They're experiencing what's going on around them at the same time. So Alan, I don't know if you're still here.
Yep, I'm still here.
Oh, all right. Do you have anything to add, Alan, to the action?
I'm just catching up on what I missed.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how it went, Alan. That we just went through the process of the players learning more about the city that they're in and some of the intrigue that's taking place. And that's another thing with, like, Igsburg is set up as a setting to be a little bit more intrigue, a little bit more faction kind of play.
A little more cosmopolitan.
Yeah, more cosmopolitan, absolutely. More faction, more social status and social standing. So it's going to be very, very much different from our AD&D campaign that we just wrapped up, and that's what I'm hoping kind of develops over time as well.
I don't know if it's what's built into the module or how you're running it, but it also seems to have more of a generous dose of that sandbox feel that we always loved about the older editions.
Yes, it is more open ended. It's actually not a module. I'm just letting you guys go out there and do what you're doing, and then I will react for the next session based on what you had done. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why, like, this was a lot of innovation because I had planned on two different scenarios that just weren't going to happen once we had you weren't able to make it and the other guy left. So I was like, all right, I have to change up a few things here and come up with something on the fly. So the pugilism portion of it was created because you guys told me you wanted to go to a gym, and look for some physical. So that was not something that was pre-planned at all. It was something that I, just had to throw together because that's what my players had said they wanted to do. I didn't expect that you were going to split up into three different groupings. And so that became, something that I had to modify and think through. And like I said, the fact that you all waited for your time spot to actually participate in really did make that possible. So, I wouldn't recommend letting the parties separate, often. But when you have a great group of players, then you can afford to do so probably a little bit more, more leeway in allowing for that to happen.
And let's face it, in real world situations, that's exactly what happens. People do
Mhm.
split up. You guys go this way, you guys go that way, and that sort of thing. And if we develop our own sort of party tactics and standard operating procedures, we can hope to get away with that in more of a hostile environment and still make it out
Well,
alive, as opposed to
yeah, I would not recommend doing that in a really hostile environment.
right.
You know, if you happen to do, like, if even if I'm running a very modified official adventure, um, there is no official adventure, no matter how much you modify them, where it's a good idea to separate and do that kind of a thing. Um, the challenges would have to be so watered down that I think it would take away from what it was meant to be. And so I certainly would prefer that you guys stay together, especially when you're doing dungeon crawl, which Aidsburg is really set up for, quite a bit as well. So there will be dungeon crawls, and that gets back to that old school kind of feel to it as well.
I sense a mansion crawl in our near future.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that's where one of your possibilities is to investigate this mansion to make a little gold coin and maybe discover some more stuff. And yeah, so but your next probably two sessions or so are going to be involved in the festival itself. And I'm anticipating that will have a variety of different activities that you as a party can get involved with, and a variety of different challenges that will probably arise as well, based on what you guys do and what I come up with, you know, uh, either in the moment or in response to what you're actually doing. So let's see. Um, So anyway, just that's pretty much the recap. That's pretty much everything that I had covered. Um, during our third session. I'm going to put the invite up there if anyone wants to join in, because I am going to talk a little bit about the Ben Riggs, the golden age of, and I'll actually share it up here. The golden age of TTRPGs is dead. All right. I'm glad to have you guys here. Maybe I won't actually have time to do that video tomorrow. So maybe I'll just include it here in this live stream. So anybody that is out there that wants to participate in this discussion, you're certainly welcome to do so. And I'm going to actually bring up his article and just go through some pieces of it. If I don't cover it all now, because I am a little bit on a time constraint, if I don't cover it
Speaking of
all
which,
now,
I'm gonna have to.
you're gonna have to bug out.
Bounce.
All right, no, I
Look,
appreciate it.
I'll watch the end of the video later on this evening and leave a comment, because I'm curious, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's almost like getting a second childhood, being able to game online regularly.
Yeah.
With great players that
Mhm.
that all seem to have been dungeon masters. To me, that's such a breath of fresh air and a revitalizing factor of my continued involvement, enjoyment of the hobby. Just when I thought, with family and things like that, maybe I wasn't going to get to game anymore. Well, boy, was I wrong. And for all you guys who've helped make that happen, thanks. And I will see you guys when I see you.
All right, you have a good one, and I
But you
will
enjoy the heck out of that convention.
Yeah,
And
hopefully,
send us some pictures or something, just
yeah.
so we can, vicariously get the same,
No, I
feel.
will mostly be doing short videos, so little 1 minute videos throughout the time. I think that's probably the best way to actually cover it. But yeah, I will be doing that. And
Right.
hopefully the weather holds out. Hopefully it blows offshore and we don't get very much of anything. But you all have a good one. Shadow, have a good one. And
I'll see you soon.
we will
Bye, guys.
continue. All right, take
Good
it
luck,
easy.
Alan. Best wishes,
Appreciate it.
man.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
So maybe actually I won't go, to that article. I will save that for a video tomorrow. But what Shadow just brought up, which reminds me of there was another YouTuber, and I'm not going to bring him up by name, but he actually downplayed the importance of playing online. Basically said that playing any game online, but in particular Dungeons and Dragons, is like the lowest form of running anything. That it's certainly and without the concept of truly understanding that if it weren't for online play, I think Wizards of the Coast would have collapsed. I don't think that fifth edition would have survived COVID. I don't think that it would have sold as much as it did. I don't think that Stranger Things would have been as big as it was. I don't think that Critical Role would have grown as much as it did from 2019, 2020, and 2021. I think that literally online play certainly bailed out fifth edition, which was already by that point losing steam. And the fact that everyone now was suddenly working from home, or they were not in school, they were at in their house. And as a retired school teacher, I could tell you 90% of the students did not show up to their classroom Zooms. They were doing other things, and and that's that was K through 12. They were doing other things. They were, I had classrooms that were supposed to have 30 students that had 3 students,
Here's
and
another way of, I got another perspective on that whole online
yeah,
gaming.
go ahead, Alan.
I'm sure a lot of us who are old enough remember Napster from back in the day.
Yes.
Thanks to Napster, I got introduced to so many different new genres of
Hmm.
music. And for me that was heaven until
Yeah.
Metallica, yeah, shut it down. But
Yeah.
this is what Roll20 has done for gaming. It
Yes.
has introduced us to so many other people in the gaming community.
Hmm.
Only good things can happen.
Yes, and that really does kind of run counter to, some of the ideas that Ben Riggs was talking about as far as the gaming industry versus the hobby, because I don't think that he was properly separating the two. And like I said, I'm going to go into more detail in the video tomorrow morning, but yeah, but just like a total disconnect, like and very similar to this other YouTuber, just having a total disconnect, like not truly understanding what online play has done for the hobby, and in particular for fifth edition. And and the fact that Hasbro wants to go completely online gaming as it is. They don't give two craps about a group of 5 players sitting at a table, in the library or at the local gaming shop or in someone's home. To them, that is a drain on their potential. That's a waste of money for them, to even worry about that. So I think the whole hobby wouldn't be where it is at. No, it wouldn't. Uh, we have seen an industrial revolution of the hobby in such a short period. Yeah, I really do think that the COVID shutdowns did more for this hobby than anything that Wizards of the Coast produced, published, anything that any other game company published. Um, you know, the fact that people found themselves at home and were able to just turn on the computer, meet up with 3, 4, 10 players from all around the world, and to play a 3-hour session, an 8-hour session, or whatever, because everybody had much more free time during that 2-year, 2.5 year, shutdown. Um, yeah, it just was um, it just was a time period that, I honestly believe really did save the hobby, because rolling into 2019, um, 5e was already waning, at that point. It was already starting to lose its sales potential. Its books were not selling all that well. And, at that point, everybody already had the core 3 books. So they realized that they didn't need anything else. And then once COVID hit, they were able to play online with much more free time than they had previously. Games are nothing if not imaginative and creative. We will find a way to play no matter what. Yes, absolutely. And that's something that I think that Ben Riggs also missed, a point that he missed in his article. Was that point that, and that's where he uh, mistakes the industry, the TTRPG industry, and the TTRPG hobby. They are separate from one another. Um, you can you can participate in this hobby without ever having bought a book. All you need to know is the concept. You technically don't even need dice. Again, all you need is the concept of what is a role-playing game, and you can participate in this hobby. And that's something that Ben Riggs doesn't understand. That's something that this other YouTuber doesn't understand. I've said it, many, many times. Once it could disappear tomorrow, um, Hasbro can mothball fifth edition in any iteration of Dungeons and Dragons moving forward, and people are still going to play Dungeons and Dragons. It's like we have the books, we can continue playing. I was thinking about this point when I was driving to work today, and I said to myself, um, I kind of came up with the thing when I put my own perspective into it. I was like, I probably have another 20 years of gaming left, right? I'm 56 years old. I'll be 57 in March. Maybe I'll have another 20 years. I'll be 77, and that's probably when I'm probably done. All right. I'm using books that are 40 years old, so I could technically be using books that are 60, maybe upwards of maybe 65 years old. I still have some of the original dice, so I mean, I could have bought books 65 years ago and dice 65 years ago and still played all of that time without any interaction with the industry at all. All right, and that's the difference between the industry and the hobby. You can participate in this hobby without interacting with the industry in any meaningful way. Let me see. So online was big. So was the boom in digital publishing tools. TTRPGs had a number of technical wins in its sale. Yes, absolutely. Since I've been living around the world the last 20 years, I've been running 3 games a week online. Only way I can really play, and other than in conventions. Yes, it's just not. It's just harder. It's harder to find those local games, and there's not as many. Uh, there's not as many hobby shops around as there used to be, and I don't know how public libraries, so like whether or not they're open to people just sitting at a table and gaming, the whole day away. It certainly was that way in the 70s and in the early 80s. I don't know how much you can do that nowadays. Um, I haven't set foot in my public library in quite a few years, so um, I might actually look into that and see if that is a possibility. I've been trolling marbles forever. Yeah. Uh, I've been re-rolling marbles forever. Let's all pool our resources and create an old folks home for gamers. Yeah. 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 In 20 years time, we'll be sitting in there. Well, they have themed bars and things like that. They just need a themed old folks home. To pull together and create a retirement village for Dungeons and Dragons role players. I own over 800 RPGs. I don't care if D&D went away. I will game until I can't. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's literally, um, it's. I have books behind me that are, 40 plus years old. They were printed in 1979, 1975. I think some of my early D&D white box is a 75 printing. Um, I could bust it out with the dice and run that. and play that with with a new group of players. So there's definitely a lot of potential in just running those things for virtually forever. With a game stream. Yep, that's all you need.
Oh yeah.
We are the golden age. I love that. We are the golden age of gaming. Internet gives you perpetual access.
Yep.
Absolutely.
True.
We are in a golden age. Yes, we're absolutely. The idea that, is the golden age coming to an end? No. Um, like I said, I want to go into fuller detail and break that down. I wish I had more time tonight to do it, but I'm going to save that for probably like a 9 a.m. video tomorrow, and hopefully it'll post. That way, I can dedicate like a whole hour to it and just go through Ben Riggs. The golden age of TTRPGs is dead, and I think that he's solely talking about the industry and missing the hobby portion of that same argument. Yeah, well, you got to do it here in the States, someplace, Kelly. Um, not in your current home. In Spain, is it right? Yeah, we need you here. I have a full business plan for a gaming community. Yes, I read it, Uriah. Yeah, so I will definitely send that out to you. I'll send you the I'll send you the fourth edition along with the coming, which is uh it's the conversion for a modern post-apocalyptic setting to the little booklet as well. So yes, I will definitely send that out to you. I actually could be better if the companies did disappear. Yeah, I mean the the thing in the article that he said, and I've highlighted it, and I'm going to go over it again. Um, I mean, he at one point he was like, the fact that there are far more publishing companies out there, are far more people doing individual publishing out there, that it has been a decline in diversity. And I was like, variety equals diversity. It's like, if you have a greater variety, that means you have more diversity by default. So to not understand that either, I mean, I was just like stunned, because I thought the guy was a real like historical, like a historian of it, and had a better understanding than it was almost like he was lamenting the fact that Wizards of the Coast is losing market share. Yeah, that's really how the whole article came off to me, was like a lamentation that all these other companies are going to fragment the hobby. And it was like, oh, they're going to fragment the industry possibly, but not the hobby. The hobby has always been a large variety. And that's always been a positive thing about it. It's something like, even if you were a true like follower of everything that Gary Gygax said, then you would know that Gary Gygax said in both of his books on playing as a role playing as a player and game mastery, that you shouldn't just be playing one game. You shouldn't just be playing one genre. You shouldn't just be playing with one group of people. You shouldn't be playing in just one one setting, whether it be at your home table or in a library or at a gaming, convention or whatnot. You should be doing it all, and then on top of that, you should be publishing. But you should be doing it all. And you shouldn't be tied down to just one company. He didn't believe that as the CEO of TSR. You He didn't believe that you should only be playing TSR games. And and TSR had a gambit of a variety of different games. There were actually more varied in genre and even game system wise than uh, current day companies are. I mean, Chaosium run. The only thing I know Chaosium runs is Call of Cthulhu. That's the only thing they publish, as far as I know. Wizards of the Coast only does a card game and one role playing game. Even though they own all of those IPs, they'll never do anything with them because they would believe that if they're playing one of these other games, what if they start playing too much Star Frontiers and they stop playing D&D to play Star Frontiers? Now we're going to lose money on D&D. It's like they create this internal competition for no reason, and so that's the other thing. Plus, I don't think that they have the true talent, or capacity to create new products for several different tabletop role-playing games. They certainly don't have the capacity that TSR had in order to do that. And I mean, Kelly worked for TSR, so Kelly can talk to that as well. That TSR did have the capacity to generate new content for a different, for several different lines of tabletop role playing games. People confuse the big dogs with the hobby far too much. Yeah, the hobby has so many alternatives that one game or company tanking or one GAD game seeing its end isn't stopping play. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you can participate in this hobby without ever having bought a book or even a set of dice. And you are still participating in the tabletop role-playing hobby. Essentially all you need is two people and the imagination to play your game. So let's see.
Yeah, Stormbringer didn't go too far. It was a halfway decent system, but
Yeah.
the magic system was almost broken.
Isn't Pendragon coming out with a new edition? I think Pendragon's supposed to come out in 2024, a new one. So maybe they're going back to it. And I just picked up the more recent Rune Quest. I just forgot it was Chaosium. I haven't dug into it since then. They had Stormbringer. The current campaign, Uriah, is the Igsburg setting. So let me grab it. I'll show you. So this was originally put out by Troll Lord Games back in 2004, either 04 or 06. This was originally put out. It was written by Gary Gygax when Gary Gygax was collaborating with Troll Lord Games at the time. He was helping him with some rules design. He was writing some settings and such, and basically world building along with them, and so he released a lot of his his projects that he had for Castles and Crusades as well. And so these just became available again for reprint as the Gary Gygax estate came to an agreement with Troll Lord Games that they would allow them to recreate, republish some of Gary's works. And the more successful they are with these Kickstarters, the more that they will open up more and more for Troll Lord Games to continue to republish this work. Now, from what I understand, and I'm waiting to have another interview with Stephen Chenault, which should be coming up, in the next couple of weeks or so. I'm going to ask him, but what I understood was that there are some things in the Gary Gygax estate that had never been published before. So you could actually we could all actually end up getting some new material from Gary Gygax. And again, hopefully only through Troll Lord Games or possibly through Gax Works, which is Luke Gygax's publishing company. And but even Luke Gygax is working with Troll Lord Games, and Troll Lord Games is actually in the process of reprinting Gary Gygax's The Hermit, which is an adventure that was originally written for Legendary Adventures, and now during its Kickstarter, it was converted to Castles and Crusades. And in the last 2 days of its Kickstarter, it was then being published with a for Shadow Dark as well. So Shadow Dark Arcane Library kind of came on board with it, and so now if you backed it at the $125 price point, we're going to get all three versions of the game. We're going to get the Castles and Crusades version, the Legendary Adventures version, and the Shadow Dark version of the game, both in physical copy and in PDF. So really, really excited about that. Let me get caught up with the points here. Recently, I got some very nice styled numbered chits for drawing for the bag. 1 in 20, no dice needed. Yep, that's correct. Yes, I am using that. Thank you. Let's see. There was a new Penguin just a few years back. Then Stafford passed. Oh, I didn't realize that. Next, we had the sections of 2 or 3 new games a year outside of D&D, Gamma World, Boot Hill, and Gangbusters. Yeah. So and Kelly worked for TSR from 82 to 86 or 7. So there was a lot of stuff coming out for for all of those things, including I think somebody mentioned it as well. Conan Top Secret, Star Frontiers, so many TSR games, including Indiana Jones, and even Buck Rogers, even though Buck Rogers didn't sell very well, which is what really sent Lorraine Williams into a tizzy, because that was her father's IP. Yeah, we just got an update on the Hermit today, so I haven't had a chance to actually look at it. But yes, we did just get an update on it. And yeah, Gangbusters was a great game then, and you can get Gangbusters BX today, and that is a really, really good system. That was created by and published by Mark A. Hunt. I highly recommend it. He is great he's great people, and he put out an excellent game. And I'm glad that he has the rights to put it out as Gangbusters BX, because you can really see the original game in its creation and everything. It is just, the tone and the feel of it is exactly like the original. And the fact that you can get it in a modern presentation and everything is really, really cool. I guess so. I never got the original. I think they came out pretty late, and again, Kelly could probably tell me better, but I think it came out much later on, like I would say probably around like 80, 86 or 87. Well, thank you, Judd. Yeah, yeah, I did write an adventure for that. I have to get back to doing some more writing. I'm currently writing an adventure for Shadow Dark, which will be on drive through at some point. I'm getting ready to run that Shadow Dark adventure at Rising Phoenix in April. So I'm already working on the adventure, and yeah, I do have to get back to my adventure writing, because it's something that I really enjoy doing. It just got away from it for quite some time. Been spending more time on YouTube than I have been writing, so I have to balance that out a little bit more. I like the original No Class Gangbusters, but Mark does a great job. Yeah, yeah, no, it really is a great job, and he is a great guy. Definitely a great guy. So let's see, which game? I'm not sure. Ba, ba, ba. Oh, Buck Rogers. When was Buck Rogers? In 86 or 87? I don't know if it was earlier. I'm I want to say it was probably 86 or 87, because that's when Lorraine Williams came on. I could always look it up too. But yeah, so I'm coming up on my 9:30ish time slot. Like I said, I have to start, packing and getting ready for going on my trip tomorrow. Once like I have them both at hand. All right, thank you, Judd. Take a look at that. I'll wait on that. So anyway, I am going to try to get to that Ben Riggs. The golden age of the TTRPG is dead, and I will, you know, give it a whole read through of the entire thing. My breakdown of it, 87. Yeah, so I was like, just off the top of my head, I was like, I knew it had to be around when she took over after Gary. Yes, and it was a big bone of contention, because she was pissed off um, that it did not do well, and that was her father's IP. And so, I take it that from there, she didn't give a crap about anything else, and she started tanking, tanking the company at that point. Um, it was her pet project. Her dad owned the IP. Yeah, yeah, and that was the root cause, I think, of her destroying, you know, destroying TRS. Century copyright 90, Buck Rogers copyright 93, and she gave up on the company in 97. They started Buck Rogers in '86 and came out in '87. Yeah, there might have been two different versions of it or multiple printings of it. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up now. Like I said, got to cut this one kind of short, so I apologize for that. And be on the lookout tomorrow morning for, or tomorrow very, very early afternoon for the upload where I break down Ben Riggs, the golden age of the TTRPG is over. I will go through his entire article and throw my counterpoints at some of the points that he's making there. And I appreciate everybody that has come in. Thank you for stopping in. I will be pretty much surviving over the convention weekend on just 1 minute videos. I will show you the floor. I will show you some of the games that that are presented in the vending area, the artist area and such. So I will be making my rounds throughout the convention site, and I'll be blasting out those 1 minute videos, and maybe I'll do a longer form, either video or live stream at the end of each night. Now I'm waiting to see what the weather does. I'm hoping that it does not cut off my last day, there. So I'm going Friday, playing in some games Friday night. Then I'm there all day Saturday. Hopefully the snowstorm that's supposed to hit the East Coast is less than what we're expecting. It's not supposed to start until the early evening Saturday, but the problem is it's supposed to run all the way through Sunday. So I'm waiting to see what I decide to do once I get there. I will probably end up either leaving sometime Sunday afternoon, early afternoon, or leaving Saturday late evening. So I don't know yet. So as always, thanks for joining. Alan, good luck to you and your wife over the next couple of days.
Thank you.
And speedy recovery. And I will chat with you sometime next week, I'm sure.
You will.
So, and everyone else, just go down the line really quick. Judd, thanks for stopping in. 88 was the board game. Oh, okay. BR 25 board game. Gotcha. The money people did the minimum print run, and most still boxes went out back for clear out offices. Yep. According to Wiki, thank you. And Uriah, yep, thank you. I will probably do a quick video, not actually driving, but getting into the car and getting ready to roll out. I will give you updates as I make my journey. It's only like a 3.5 hour, or no, 3 hour and 10 minute drive, so it's not going to be that bad. All right. Thanks everybody for coming in, and you all have a great night. Take care.